start their own college, right? But some things we just don't talk about, you know, the second masters or whatever, because it doesn't have any relevance to what we do. But that doesn't mean that we haven't taught several college courses and done all the research and things like that. So I think, in my experience, and I think some of my colleagues as well, have to kind of redefine to others what we know, what our experiences are. And we have a long way to go because it's still frustrating. And it's 2023. And it's like, we shouldn't have to do that anymore. But yeah, so I agree. We have a long way to go, but we're making strides.
We have a long way to go, but it's also a lot of responsibility that we have on our end in order to bring that authenticity to our sets. Because I oftentimes, like you said, it's like there's certain stereotypes that we need to break, and also bring in our experience into these sets, not just visually, but also for the people that work on those sets as well. Like you said, that director thought that might have not been something that you would have had in the house, but they don't know. They don't know that, and so we're bringing in this this experience and this background to the sets, which we need more of, and we don't have enough in our industry. So it's very important that we continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah, I also can relate to an executive telling me I was working on a project and it was a true life story, and the execs come in and say, "Hey, no, this isn't right. We want to have leopard sheets and, and fatback televisions for these people that live in project housing." And I'm like, this is the murder scene. That's a flat screen, and I think it's about a 55 inch. And it's not 1998. We as Black people, we moved on from the leopard silk sheets. Like, no, that's not. Know your script. Know who you're designing for, the characters. But the execs, they seem to know more than we do at times, and it's our story.
Having said that, though, how have you been able to move the needle? That you are in these positions of power that 20 years ago we only knew one. Now we have such a, hopefully more of you coming in. And I myself did small projects, but as far as being a designer, even in my position, if I'm set designing, which is, the hierarchy is your production designer, your art director, your set designer, and your graphic artist. And then you have PAs, and you have relationships with construction and set decoration. But the reality of that is, I consider every time I'm on a project important because I know I'm the only brown person on that crew, and I'm watching everything. So I might as well be production designing because I'm hawking them to see that we had a woman on our cast for SEAL team, and she's an African American woman. Because she's fair, they wanted to cast her as Latino. Now, there's not anything against being Latino, but she's Black, and she wanted to be represented accurately. So they had her name as Diaz, and she fought to get her name changed to Davis. And I just applauded that, Yeah, exactly. She's not a star, but she made a point to say, represent me correctly. And she happens to be mixed, so that's even more telling for the executives that don't see us. So to me, it's extremely frustrating that, yes, 2023, we still have to explain what exists or tell them this art should be a certain kind of way as opposed to what they think. So it's important we're in the room. And so that's why I am asking you, what power do you feel you've been able to enact over the years, or what ways have you opened that door and helped include more of us?
Right. I think it starts with us. We are department heads, and we can choose how we want to hire. I am always, very first thing I do with my crew, as I said, no one works for me, everybody works with me. And everybody's experience is important, and their opinions are important, because one of the things that I think we do is we paint our crews to help support the holes that we don't know. I did a series for OWN, and I needed to have a generational help, Brian, right? I needed somebody young. I needed somebody that had a pulse to those things, because my kids always say, Dad, don't ever do that again. So I needed somebody to handle that, right? But those things are important because you have to know someone on your team to be able to speak to the social media aspect or whatever. And those are how we paint those pictures. And so I think as a department head, we have the opportunity to put our crews together how we want, and I make it a point to put as much culture and responsibility and references and people on all of my crews, no matter what the show is, because we have stories in every story. And if not us, then who? And so I can speak that that's what I do, and I'm sure